Believe it or not, 6 albums came out today, and one of them was Price by Rozi Plain. Price is the new album from Rozi Plain, a musician, painter of both, and a key member of This Is The Kid. This album was recorded between London, Bordeaux, and Glasgow. So yeah, I was very excited for this record to come out. Every single that came out was very exciting and different. And, I just wanted to listen to something, refreshing. And this is exactly that, and it didn't disappoint. If you are new to this channel, what I do is I make a bit of a track-by-track review of every single song of the album, while I also progress my general thoughts of the whole album in general. So yeah, let's get to it. We start with the first song of the album called Agreeing for Two. It's a great start for the record. It's a bit of a classic pop progression, and it was one of the singles that came out. It has some Adrienne Lenker vocals to it, and it's very happy and exciting with a repetitive chorus, and the production does reminds me a lot to some Brutes maybe from back in the day, and the production will only get more exciting from here. The second track of this album feels very similar to the first one. The vocals and production feel almost exactly the same, I'll say, with the bass kind of taking the main role in this one. It's sweeter than the first one, definitely, and it takes time to fully explode, but when it does, it's really great. It's very familiar somehow, and this record does feel like the sister album of maybe A Museum of Contradiction by McGee. Maybe not as darker, but more brighter and positive. But yeah, it does have some similarities there. Now, talking about Help, this is one of my favorite songs of this record, also a single that came out. It has a beautiful production and is far more warped than previous songs, and the rhythm feels like something out of a Jose Gonzalez album. Very different from its production though, which feels more like a Marvel State album, maybe specifically something like the album Portraits. So yeah, it brings you a weird sense of familiarity, but it still feels very unique and different, and that's always awesome. Now, talking about Conversation, again, it's very similar to the previous track. It's the shortest song of them all. It's 2.5 seconds. And yeah, not much to say about this specific song in general. It has some distorted Jose Gonzalez vocals, which is, it's awesome. And I think it's just an approach in being minimal maybe, and a bit of a middle break for the album. Kind of to settle down, because the track that's coming in next is gonna be quite exciting and bombastic. So yeah, I'm talking about Paint the Room. And I'm not gonna lie, the first time I listened to this song, I was dancing all around my room. This is my favorite song of this record so far. Even if this record is full of bangers, there's a great amount of songs that are great, but this one is just, it's my favorite one of them all. Its production is, bombastic, exciting, and something out of a Johnny record, maybe. And if you didn't know, Jose Gonzalez worked on that. I'm just gonna stop referencing Jose, because I feel like this album by Rozi is way more than that, honestly. But yeah, great song, great production with some sort of a space disco vibe to it, great. Now we have Soar, with more of a reflecting undertone. As of now, the album has been very consistent in terms of vocal delivery and production choices, and this isn't the exception really. The lyrics are beautiful, the production is sweet, and I started to realize that this album reminds me a lot to the latest projects of The Weather Station, especially Ignorance. Also an amazing record, so if you like this record, I feel like you totally like The Weather Station. In terms of vocal range and production choices, they do have plenty of similarities. Now, talking about Spot 13, this one keeps the same undertones as the previous track, with a mysterious piano, playful bass. It's a slow-paced track with a very soft melody, feeling simplified at first, but it does has a lot of layers to it. It's a perfect song to just zone out completely, you just can't get lost in it. And I might be talking crazy, but the production does feels and reminds me a lot to maybe some Black Country New Road, maybe the softer tracks. I know they're completely different genres, but I do catch some similarities there for some reason. Only 2 songs left in this album, and it's completely done. This song is specifically called Standing Up. I do feel like the first half of the album was more full of excitement and bombastic melodies, while the second half was more of a self-reflective, slow-paced and repetitive melodies. So yeah, not in a bad way. I feel like the second half still has some upbeat moments and it's full of different layers to it, but in a way it just changes the dynamic of, without feeling like it's a completely different record. Following my last thought with the closure of this album called Blink, I do think that one of the things that made this album very interesting were the singles that came out. All of them were quite joyful and cheerful and refreshing. So you start to think that every song is gonna feel completely different from the others. Maybe not in vocal performance, but at least in like production choices. It feels less mysterious the more you listen into it, where the last 4 songs are almost like the same exact song. So the excitement kind of like wears off, especially after listening to it like 3 or 4 times now. So for that reason, I'll give this album 3.5 stars out of 5. That's basically 7 out of 10. I just like stars more. I don't like rating stuff. I don't believe in rating stuff, but I think that it's one of the reasons why people watch these reviews and gives like reference points. But yeah, anyways, Price by Rozi Plain, great album. Listen to it totally. It's completely worth it and I totally recommend it. Yeah, anyways, that's basically it. Plenty of albums came out this January the 13th, not only this one, so check them all out. I totally invite you to listen to some new music every single day. If you like this review, you can subscribe to my channel, leave a like, maybe leave a comment of your own opinion, and I hope we can keep in touch.
Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.